So dear respected Thai, dear community, today is today's day. It's not old and it's not gonna be new. We give it a date just to, have fun with it and celebrate. In Plum Village, we celebrate everything, including today's day is today's day. Thay loves to celebrate that. So the 31st of December. And then, so I've been reflecting a little bit about our calendar, our dates, and our watches, and these things that we make up so that we can work together. It's quite, it's kind of artificial, especially when you have to change time. The season. I think it's functional, but it's annoying a little bit. Here in Plum Village, we follow the bell. When you hear the bell, just gather, go, and so the monks and the nuns, we sometimes forget what time it is, what date it is, and sometimes even the year. Or some of us do. We live according to the leaves, the autumn leaves, the grass, the coldness, the warmth, the moon. So we tell our time based a little bit on what happens in nature. The moss starts to be different, and the color of the leaves, the animals, the different birds. You come around late spring, you hear a cuckoo bird, and you don't even have to call what season. You just know, and that's and we also see the farmers. So we keep time a little bit based on the actual vines, the grapevines, the cycle of making wine. And it's quite quick. Now with the new, as the new year comes, they will start to come out and start to clip. And soon it would, and then they leave one, and all of a sudden spring, and then summer. So we actually look, instead of a clock, a calendar, we look at the grapevines as we drive back and forth between New Hamlet and Lower Hamlet. And also the sunflowers, the wheat, so it's quite, it's a kind of rhythm that we find here when we live here year-round and many years. It's a very natural rhythm. And so every time we have to do this kind of changing the clock, it just feels very, gosh, who made this up? And we also have retreat seasons. We have, summer is like our, how do you call, festival season. And children come, and many, many people from many countries. And then we have the spring and autumn, when the monks and nuns fly away like birds. They go to a different country, and they share the practice with many people around the world. And then winter time, we copy the trees, we let go our leaves, and we come back to what is most essential. So we watch nature, and we, in a way, mimic nature. Not just the time, but its habits, and there's a lot of wisdom if you live around nature and you pay attention. Even a little flower pot, if you take care of it year round, you begin to understand something about that flower. So these are the kind of rhythms that we are used to in Plum Village. So it's, when it comes New Year's, we do kind of pretend, okay, let's call it New Year. And we even have actually non-alcoholic kind of, and we celebrate even. But luckily we don't have a hangover, yeah? But the monks, we do celebrate. We go in a brother's room and we gather and we drink. It's funny how we do drink. But it's so nice. We got all the brothers and we're aware of each other and aware of our happiness. We're not like lost in some kind of mental confusion. But we do laugh a lot and we do celebrate. So it does look like we're drunk. I call it Dharma drunk. Yeah. So I share you a little bit of some of the things that happen here, and it's nice. It's nice to celebrate, to make a moment special, and we call it New Year, and get together and we celebrate our life together. So this is, and we're very happy that you come to join us and support and be with us to gather this energy. I know when I lived in Deer Park Monastery, we also celebrate Christmas and New Year's. And sometimes we get news of all the tragedy that happens around this holiday season. It's quite sad to find this kind of news, especially when people are celebrating the new year, their life, their family, and accidents because of alcohol, as well as people become very violent. So this is something for you to come here to generate peace and calm and compassion. It's wonderful for the world. So you're not just coming here to take refuge from all the craziness, but you're also here to send that energy out for those people who are unfortunate. And I know there are many of teachers here gathered with us this week. I just want to acknowledge and thank you for being teachers. And our teacher loves teachers. He even wrote a calligraphy that has teachers on it. He doesn't write "Happy businessmen can change the world." He writes "Happy teachers change the world." So you're very, it doesn't mean write happy monk change the world, but well, not that we're jealous or envy, but I have to say our teacher understands the importance of what you're doing, your dedication, although you might not feel that from society and from other people. But how you affect the student is, you're in a position to really transmit compassion, love, peace, patience, kindness. And we're also aware of this. In a way, monks and nuns, we're also in the role of having to hold a class or hold an audience. So how we emit ourselves is important. So for you to dedicate yourself 1 week to come here, to take care of yourself, and so that you can take care of your student. We just want to, I know it's tough. I have a brother and a sister-in-law who are teachers, and it's very hard. It's very hard. They sometimes want to change career or something because it's so difficult. But luckily they continue to affect. My brother is very patient, very kind, so I keep encouraging him. And I'm very grateful that he's a teacher. So today I like to share a little bit surrounding the theme of renewal. I think there's a kind of tradition around New Year's to like have an aspiration, and people make fun of it. They say you have an aspiration, but the rest of the year you don't remember it. And that's what I remember. For us, for me, when it comes to this time of year, or the season of winter, is the contemplation I like to touch. The practice I like to touch is renewal, how to renew my practice. So this is the wisdom of nature. It knows how to renew itself. You look at any living thing, a plant, the grass, it has a cycle of renewal. And we, as human beings, as animals, we also are part of that natural system. So we need to find a way to renew ourselves. This is something we've lost touch with as we've become very organized and very civilized. We have many things that try to keep us very... I was telling my brother about the alarm clock. It's such an artificial thing. It wakes you up, it yells at you, and you wake up. So we train ourselves with these kind of rhythms. But you live around the monastery long enough, or some of us can find a rhythm, and we wake up naturally with the earth and with the day. And so this is a subject of renewal. And when we look at our society, I think many of you are here and you might agree that the way we've organized our society is a little bit off. I don't know, maybe that's why you're here, but this is kind of like a refuge. Many of you are stressed, at lunchtime when the arrival day and the lay friends who just come, they stand up to share why they're here. The monks, we love to hear it because you say, whoa, I'm in the right place. Because it's, so you remind us every time. The way we've organized a society is we have to re-look at it. We've separated our families. Everyone's living in little pockets. There's no community. And so we isolate ourselves. As well as the busyness, the scheduling of our society. I come home and visit, and I see the families now, they organize even the weekend for their children. They have soccer, piano, ballet, extra reading. Even the weekend, the mother has to drive the child to this place, and the father drive the other child to that place. So even when they were little, 4, 6 years old, already, very quick. So our life, the way we've organized, is quite, we're always in a rush, and we feel like we don't have enough time. I remember when I was working in the city, Los Angeles, and I would see a friend, a colleague at the grocery store, and we don't talk to each other, but we say, email me, or I'll see you later. I'll catch you later. And I will never forget that. It's like it's a habit. You see someone in the street, you say, I love to get a hold. Let's have a. You make an appointment later, rather than actually meeting them. Do you know this? Yeah. That's the city, you feel like you don't have enough time. So you're like, I don't have time for you right now, but let's email each other. Or now, let's text. So the energy is quite, we feel like we don't have enough time. And this is a real tragedy for, because it'll go very quick, and you'll be in your 60s and 70s and 80s. And so this is something we need to look at. I'm not saying to change it now. I mean, I'm just reflecting. We have to look deeply at where we're at as a society, and not just to accept it. So this is a kind of suffering, and we need to look at it. We also have to look at the way we kind of lost touch with a kind of spiritual life. Most of our year, we schedule it towards means of making a living, working. Even going on vacation, it's a kind of work. It's busy, and you don't even find relief or relaxation from that. I see this in families, even in vacation. And so coming to Plum Village, you're able to touch something different, a different order, a different way of organizing. This is something that I envision for Plum Village, a kind of a refuge for people to come and to renew themselves. First, he envisioned it for the social workers that were helping him during the time of war, and he envisioned a place he called not Plum Village, but Persimmon Village. He knew that you need to come back and to take care of your spirit. Yeah, the church used to do that, and the temples used to do that. And we need to renew this so that it becomes a place where people can find peace, find compassion, so they can take care of their suffering. So this dimension in us, because of we've become too kind of religious, even in the Buddhist temple. I grew up young, and in my youth, I went to the temple, but it was just like Sunday temple, like Sunday church. You go, you do your thing, and then, you're a good Buddhist. And then you go eat in a restaurant. I only went because my parents said, I'll take you to a restaurant afterwards. And we eat beef stew, And so that's for me, as a young man, I didn't understand very, what the temple was helping, because it was not helping my mother, it was not helping my father get along. It was not helping them touch a deeper cause, a deeper meaning in their life, and how to actually deal with each other too. So the role of a spiritual guide, a spiritual community, has lost its place in our society. Now we have therapists, we have practice centers. Luckily, now we're beginning to have practice centers. I don't know much on the Christian or Jewish tradition, whether they have centers. I imagine they do. But at least I'm aware of places where people can go and retreat and find that their spirit, their heart again, renew themselves, renew their spirit. So the way we've divided, we have to divide the spiritual practice and our other pursuits is a kind of tragedy. You know, you hear the word secularizing things or separating things. And this is a kind of, we have to look at this. We have to find a way to touch a deeper spirituality that is not religious. And I think you know what I mean if you've read some of Thay's books. And this is Thay's whole life, trying to extract from the Buddhist teaching and bring out the practices and the teachings that can help people, no matter what background you come from. And this is for me when I found Thay. He helped me find my heart, my spirit, find my roots. And I would say Thay saved me from being lost, being a hungry ghost, they call it. Always looking for things, sensual pleasure, looking for fame, looking for things, CDs, computers, laptops, gadgets, partnerships, relationships, praise. These things, they don't fill the heart of a hungry ghost. So when I found Thay's teaching, he taught me the practice of coming back and touching our suffering, breathing and being with our suffering. And this is, he's the one that helped me stop and recognize and accept my suffering. I remember crying. Many of you probably remember yourself crying too and don't know why, but it just keeps crying. And as a young man, it was the first time I cried because I hold it too long. You know. And this is something I think many of us have touched. If you, I think many of you are here. You've touched that, and this is something wonderful. In the theme of renewal, we also need to renew our practice. So now that we're here, now that we've come to the Sangha, to the Dharma, to the practice, we through a YouTube video or a book or something, we have touched a little bit the practice. But we need to continue. This is very important because everything is impermanent. Your practice is impermanent. We have many new monks and nuns just ordained. You look into their face, they're very bright. They're like a new flower that just open. Hasn't fully bloomed and is ready to wilt, but it's just, that is the beginner's mind. That is the mind of love. That is the mind of freshness. And as a practitioner, when you first read that book or that chapter or you saw that video, is that kind of, it's very invigorating, very fresh, and it gives you, wow. Or when you found relief from your suffering, it lightens your shoulder and you feel more open to your loved ones, to your father, to your mother. That is the mind, beginner's mind. That's the mind of love. And that also is impermanent. And so the practice is to learn from nature and learn how to renew it. So the breathing is one way we can renew our practice. We take a breath. You see, in the very moment, we can refresh. You just take one breath right now in mindfulness, and you see the effect on your mind. One deep breath. Say the moment. So when we come to the monastery, we learn a practice and we learn how to renew our practice. Walking meditation is another way for us to renew our practice. And how to, as we practice, as the years go by, you need to refresh it. There's many ways, and you have to find ways to make it fresh again. Very important. They say make it novel. Thay is the master. He would always surprise the monks by changing a little bit of this or that. So we need to remember that. So if you already have some sitting practice, don't do it as just routine. When you sit, have clear intention, sit and bring freshness, bring the mind of a beginner again. We have to find ways like that, with breathing, with walking. And our body, we need to find ways to renew our body. So pay attention of the rhythms of your body. So mindfulness, aware of your body, when you're sitting, when you're meditating, but also aware of the rhythm of it. When it's in stress, when is it in stress? When are you rushing? So our society has trained us so that we've become disconnected to our body. Some of you who stay here long, you can tell newcomers that come to Plum Village just by the way they move. The way they open their door, the way they put the cup down in the tea room, or the way they actually go and plug into the headphone, Because we have an energy in our body. And so learning how to be in your body, when you're working on your computer, when you're walking, when you're making a cup of tea, be aware, are you relaxed? Are you tight? Another way of looking at it, are you spending more energy than you need to? That question right there has guided my practice. When I'm washing something, do you need to use all that energy? You know what I'm talking about. Or there's one I love to share is when you brush your teeth. It's only a few teeth, and they're so small. And your brush is this small, but you use enough energy to drive a crane, So ask yourself, am I using more energy than I need to? I hear some people walk. Listen to their footsteps. Do you need to use that much energy? Sorry, I have special effects. I say this because I have wasted a lot of energy, especially with walking and, and you get a backache and you get bone problem because of your posture and the way you walk. So the practice of mindfulness can help us be aware of our body, and when it moves, ask yourself, do I need to use all this energy? And that's a wonderful way of guiding it, because we love to be efficient. So I'm making it so that you have more motivation. You don't want to waste energy, especially if you're a teacher, right? When you're correcting something, you don't have to go, you just use 10%. You don't need to use 80%. So I'm challenging your efficiency. Humans love to be efficient. So be more, mindfulness helps us not to waste energy. So slowing down helps. Slowing down is not the perfect and right way, but slowing down helps. Because our society has pushed us and we run. Not just with our body, but with our mind. So when we come here and we walk, when we do something, just slow it down first. And when you begin to have more awareness and concentration, then you do fast, slow. You don't waste energy. So this is another way of saying, just relax. You don't need to try so hard. So this is a body practice. One thing we also need to, these are our habits that we need to re-look at. So one practice I like to look at is my habits. We are, they say, creatures of habits. It's great because it's true. And so we have to look at what kind of habits do we have. And when we look at other people's habits, we begin to see mine too. So we have a habit of non-stop thinking, Thay would say. NST, right? Non-stop thinking. Thay made a radio show out of it. And they say, turn off your NST radio. It's a constantly emitting radio waves, thinking. So when we come to the practice center, the practice helps us to just rest our thinking. This is another area where we waste a lot of our energy. Thinking is okay, but there's a time for it, and there's a time just to be. So we're so much trained to always be thinking about something. So when we meditate, when we walk, when we sit, when we enjoy a cup of tea, just be present with it and don't think about it. Where is this from? What kind of, what kind of ingredient? Is this bio? Oh, where, it's cup from where? Very, it's nice to be aware, but sometimes we that's just a habit. Everything you look, you have to know exactly where everything is, and you have to, so we're constantly, that's a habit that we have. It's useful sometimes, but most of the time it wastes a lot of energy. So renewing, reviving that habit. Being aware of these habits. Of reacting, we have a habit of reacting. So the practice, mindfulness, can help us react. Someone dropped something in the dining hall, maybe tonight, follow your breathing. Right? And then you can see your thinking mind. You're like, I gotta find out what family, who is that? But what happens if you close your eyes, you follow your breathing? You're free from having to think. And so you know, oh, it's that woman again. Jeez. You see? Waste of energy. React. And this is a good place to train to react, because you get all kinds of people here. And they come from different culture and they have different approach. And so this is the UN of mindfulness. This is a very, you might like to do it that way, but watch out. So when you hear the bell, help us stop and follow our breathing. It's to help us train to not react. Come back, enjoy the freedom of not having to look. Wow. That is a freedom that you have. We don't have to react. We hear a sound. We don't have to think. That is a freedom. This is something can be trained, it can be your tool. And as teachers, you need to train this. So you need to come to the monastery many, many times, or train at home with friends. Because as teacher, you're under a lot of stress. I think not just as teachers, as human beings, huh? Whether you're a mother, a father, any field, I want to have a meditation one day to have people gather around a table in a circle, and then you have a cup of orange juice, and everyone look at the cup of orange juice, and the table has to be really clean. And then I knock the orange cup over, and everyone just breathe. Wouldn't that be a great meditation? It's that kind of new guided meditation. Because I learned that here, actually. I've never been to a place where when someone drops a bowl of food and the monks say, voila, a flower, you know? And that first time I see that, I was like, what is wrong with this monk? You know, it's like, oh, they're just pretending. They're really angry inside. But it's true. You see, many people have this habit here. They celebrate when something goes wrong. And so I want to make it become a guided meditation. When something goes wrong, this is our society. They train us to react to. You know, when if you drive, you're getting trained to be reactive and to be judgmental and to fight. I grew up in Los Angeles. I know all about that. You know, I had to make a game out of surviving without being mean. You know, because the freeway makes you become really mean. See how our society is great. It's better than a rat experiment. It's terrible. Sorry, I'm an architect, so I get to say that because I design cities, you know. So this is aware of this. We're very fortunate. You know, we have an opportunity. Routines, habits. Routines. Be careful of your routines. The clocks, the watches, the calendars, the new flick touches, the smartphones. They are taking over your life. And I just got one, so. I confess, the Sangha is, trust me enough now to see how I do that. It stays right next to my bed, and I'm learning to become friends with it. But I see it slowly, it's like, come on, come on. It's great. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, okay, so I don't need to talk about that. We are so organized, we are so efficient. Wow, this is going to be a good year. Sanh có tới mấy bao giờ, mấy phút? Sanh tới đâu? Giảng tới mấy giờ? I'm just seeing what time I have to cook. Another area we need to renew and to revisit and reflect is our stories. Very important. The stories we tell our children, the stories we tell our students, the stories we tell ourselves. We are creatures of habits, but we are also creatures of stories. We love, who are you? And we tell a story. Be careful of our stories. I grew up and I had a story I told about my family and my father and my mother and my place in America, American society. That caused me a lot of suffering as a young man. And I didn't know how to tell a different story. So the practice of meditation, sitting down and breathing and just clearing our mind, we begin to hear that story. Then you begin to hear it again and again. And you touch that suffering. And you begin to understand where it comes from. And it comes because we won't let go. We won't let go of that story. And we cause a lot of suffering to those we love. So we need to relook at how we can tell a different story. A story that can open our heart, can accept. I think many of you are here because you want to find a new story for your life. Yes, things have happened in the past. Yes, they might be like that. But when we can stop and see the other person as someone who also suffers, we can begin to tell a different story about them. Nobody wants to make another person suffer. It's only because they suffer that they cause others to suffer. And when we can retell a story like that, the way we look at our past changes. So this is the beauty I found in Thay and teaching. You think the past cannot be changed? The past we make up. You know your history books? It's all made up. So find a way in the present moment to look at suffering and to understand the root of it. And that will free you from that story. And this is something that helped me become happier, less judgmental, more kind, and more accepting of people who are suffering. And this is these are personal stories with your loved ones, but it could also be stories with other people. And this is very important. Those who are in education, in media, especially media now. Those who are you in media, please tell a different story. Stop watering the seed of discrimination, hatred, other, us. You can write what happened, but write in a way that waters the seed of understanding, of compassion in people. Yes, there was terror, there was injustice, but write that in a way that can open up and try to bring people together. Encourage them to look more deeply, to listen more deeply. The news now is quite toxic, so we need to be very careful when we open our internet. It could be something all around the world that has nothing to do with us, but this morning it makes us frown, hate, fear, and we move through our day like that. So this is an area of media, and in school as well. And this is Thay's vision for re-looking at education and its purpose. You look at the textbook, it's all the history books, all about war, right? About competition and this group. And we need to revisit, we need to retell and teach different things, our relationship to Mother Earth, to other cultures. We need to celebrate. We need to tell a different story about our nation. Let's get rid of that. I know it helps, to have things organized. But because of we tell ourselves that we are from here, this group, from this nation, we're causing a lot of suffering. So this is something for the new year and for time to come. If you're in that position of affecting other people, tell a different story. Even on a subway, something happened. You can, by the way you describe to people around you, it can water their seed of understanding and water their seed of kindness. So don't add to it. Don't add to the separation, the discrimination, the fear. And this is, as practitioner, this is our mission. We need to become a different kind of storyteller for ourselves and for those we come in contact with. This is there's a bodhisattva who actually this what he does. He goes around thanking people. Thank you. You are very beautiful. You are a Buddha. You know that? You're the most wonderful person. And people don't accept it. And they say, what are you talking about? Get out of here. Are you crazy? So we need that kind of bodhisattva in the world. Please tell people that they're okay, they're accepted, just as they are. Tell them to accept themselves. This is our work as practitioners. So when we practice, we find healing for ourselves. When we waste less energy thinking and trying too hard, and we have energy, we can be a refuge for others, our loved ones, our friends. as a society, we also need to renew and reflect and change a little bit our purpose, our dreams. This is the root of a lot of problem. Our family, we had to leave Vietnam because of war, because of ideology, communist democracy. And in a way, I like to describe my family like this. Like my father, he's Chinese. He had to escape China because of war, the revolution. Yeah. And then he had to escape Vietnam, another war. And then he come to America. And then now I continue and I escape to France. But it's a different kind of war. But politically speaking, it's kind of funny. My dad escaped China, communist, and then another communist system. So ideas, yeah, a lot of. But in America, my family, we came and we were very poor. They didn't have anything. We had to leave everything behind. And I remember growing up in America that, there's American dream, right? Leave It to Beaver. I grew up with this show, black and white show, Leave It to Beaver. And there's all these shows that shows you family. And it's like, it's very, it's great, Happy family. You have everything. And then as I grew up, I learned the dream of having a house, garage, actually 2 garage, and then car. So these kind of dreams, these kind of desire, we have to re-look at, because our planet needs it, and other countries need for us to renew our dream. It's not going to work. Sorry. For us to have everything and for everyone to have what we have, it's not going to work. It's already hitting a limit. So having many things and being able to buy many things and having a bank account, retirement plan, and all these things that as a monk we've kind of left. This is something we need to look at and it's difficult. I know some of the things I'm bringing up, it's hard because you live in the society, you have a family, you have to pay your bills. But I just invite you to look again of minimizing or moderating a little bit of the material things we have. And Christmas is a great time to look at that, because it's Christmas and holiday, they always have sales. I told Dayung, he was like, don't we have some sales in the books, buy one, get one free? And he said, no, we don't have that. I was just my habit of, in Los Angeles, when it's holiday, it's about buying. It's not about coming in touch with spiritual practice. So our culture of buying, culture of having many things, and buying things and they're no longer useful, or there's a new model. There's like a new model of this, or a new car. It doesn't work. It's not working. So we need to, if you're a business person, please help us with this aspect. And also money. Our culture is so linked with the value of things, money. We put prices on things. And when we work, we get money. Therefore, we buy something, then it's ours. somehow this is not filling your the spiritual dimension, the spiritual your heart. And this I share with you, having grown up in a city, having worked, and this is one of my suffering. Getting a lot of things, but really still feeling empty. In fact, there's a relationship to the more things you have, the more depression you'll get. It's weird, huh? But it's, you just think about like having T-shirts. If you had 2 T-shirts, this is a very good, or you have two shoes, or you have 1 shoe, you're so happy. Like, wow. And you do everything to like, and you get another shoe, or another T-shirt. You get 10 T-shirts. You ever feel that? I've had this experience. Just another shirt. So there is a relationship. That's just a very minor example. But if you expand that, this is our culture, materialistic culture. This is something we have to revisit. So wearing something out or using something to its end and valuing it for helping you. So there's something very, that relationship we can look at. But I know that that culture is very hard to resist because this sometimes it helps us, have new things. So I want to say, don't become an ascetic and like, and become austere and so on. But re-look at it in your life and see how that is playing out. It could be just habit. It could be just you're used to it and society says it, and so you do it. A lot of advertisement, they stimulate us to do these things. So this dream, this having material possession, I think we need to teach this to the young people to find different ways to satisfy their life. Another an area we can look at to renew is our way of living. Society is very isolating. I just met someone whose son is in one country, whose daughter is another country, and as a grandmother, she has to fly around now. We no longer live close. We no longer live with support. And this is, I think, Thay's vision to restructure a little bit our family, our community. And so even if you don't live with your loved ones, you can find groups like-minded. Join a community, spiritual communities, to find support. And this is something that can help us stay on the path, stay sane, stay free. So Thay's vision to have a community, a practice community in every city is his life's work. He built Plum Village, and this is a model for a rural center. And because of Thay's virtue and practice and compassion in his life, we've come and gathered here. And Thay now encourages us to build a sangha, to build community wherever we go back to. And so our practice no longer is just for ourselves, but coming together, we support each other, and that group, that community becomes a support for others in the city. And I think this is the way forward for us to come together. In society now, how many of you are therapists of some sort? Mental therapists? Or what are you? Psychotherapists? Psychotherapists? Other therapists? Yoga instructors? Wonderful, yeah. So that's like the body, huh? How many are you fitness trainers? Yeah? A few? Yeah? Wonderful. There's also, now they have leadership training, right? How many of you leadership training? Huh? You could admit it. Come on. One. All right. Wonderful. How to succeed. Yes. Oh, we need that. We need good leaders. But I see more and more. I see we need more therapists. We need more yoga instructors. We need more places. And so the vision here is that we can create a community to play that role, to become the therapist. You know, they have what do you call it? We had a psychiatrist come here and make a presentation about what he does, and he divided up. I said behavioral therapy, what has to do with your behavior, your habits, and then cognitive therapy, right? About the way your mind and how it thinks. And now the new thing now is mindfulness-based therapy, right? Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. That's great. Some of you are in that program? Anyone? Yeah? And I think Thay would add one to that is community-based therapy. You see the vision? It's not just a psychiatrist sitting there and say, okay, tell me your story. Yes, all of it. No, don't hide anything. You know, one-on-one, right? Sorry, I've never been to I don't mean to, I hope it's not offending, but I don't know the image now, how they do it, but it's one-on-one, right? It's private, and it's, you know, closed door, and it's confidential. Well, community-based therapy, there's no confidentiality. When you sit here, you cry, everyone knows you're suffering. Thank you for laughing. I have to apologize. Sometimes I hope I am not offending anyone. I have a side of me that likes to poke fun at things. That's my habit. But community-based therapy is wonderful. This is what I'm learning here. And this is the power of the collective healing, even without discussion. I don't need to know your history. The community doesn't need to know. But because you're here, you practice within the community, the energy, the collective energy is very powerful. And you will become your therapist. That is the miracle. The practice of mindfulness can help you become your own therapist. You begin to understand yourself. You begin to have insight about yourself, that you light up. This is the power of the Sangha. Being in the Sangha, I've learned many things about others, but a lot I learn more about myself. And you can ask all the 1 year long-termers here if it's true. Because here, after a week, you're still, Plum Village is great. It's the heaven, yeah? Oh, no. Some of you know what I mean. Huh? You stay for a month, now we move you to a room with 4 people, 10 people. Wow. Now the practice really begins. Therapy. The therapy begins. So it's nice. You come here for a week, you go home, and you have such a beautiful memory of Plum Village. Oh. So you see where I'm talking about therapy now? Community-based therapy. Yes, this is the. But there's a reward to that suffering. Living in the community, being together, you suffering, seeing other people suffer, seeing their breakthrough, feeling an opening in another person. Wow, you benefit from that. When you see someone, as monks and nuns, we love it when a practitioner kind of like, they are free. They all of a sudden, you can see it. And the way they walk, the way they say hi to you, something they let go of is a knot. We call it internal knots. You come here and you're carrying a knot, we can smell it. Yeah, of course we're compassionate. Yes, we are. But we give you space, we give you time. But it is, because we've been through that. And it needs time, it needs space. And this is the beauty of doing it as a community. It is a miracle that we cannot, just like the chanting. The chanting has nothing to do with thinking, storytelling, or analyzing your history. It's energy. And this is the power of the true mindfulness. It's not about psychoanalyzing you to death. It is for you to. So the basic practice of breathing, walking, eating, laying down, opening the door, listening, being present, not reacting. These are all opportunities for you to have an insight. When you wait in line later tonight, it is an opportunity to be in a crowd, to be where there's a lot of people, and feel safe. Feel this is your family. Everyone come here, they have a little of suffering, but they're learning to be with it. So with that awareness, slowly your fear, your anxiety, slowly it melts. It can fall off. This is the power of community-based therapy. So when we are aware of our steps, and people are walking by and rushing, and we can walk and be free, all of a sudden something happens. And this is a very healing energy. And nobody gave it to you. You generate it yourself. And this is what we can train to do, to practice. So, as a society, we stress so much on competition, on competing. because we're always comparing, even when we're little in school, A plus, B, C, D. We're already trained, right? In society, how much you make? Oh. You look at your badge, PhD. Oh, wow. We train like that, right? Very. Well, I train like that. Sorry, if you don't. So when we come together, we learn a different way of working together, cooperating, and helping another person. Is something wonderful. I know of a woman that came one time to our monastery in Deer Park, and she shared in Dharma sharing, she said, my great happiness, I have to say, is nothing much, and please don't laugh, is when I was peeling the carrot for the community, I realized I have never done anything for anyone without wanting recognition. And here I am peeling a carrot, and I don't know who's going to eat it, but they're going to be happy. And I'm so happy to peel the carrots for them. Wow, it was just so like really? But she got her enlightenment from peeling a carrot. Because first time in her life, she did something. And she shared that in her family life, you always get reward for something. And you have to be recognized. And you do something and everyone should know. It was something like that. It was, she described her childhood. So we're so trained to do something. And you guys see what I just did? In community, nobody cares. They do, but if you care about it too much, you have to be careful. This is my training here, is I wash the pot. I shared this before, It's like, see, brother, look how much I clean the pot. They're all clean, And he's like, oh, you're still wasting your energy. Why you do that? And I was very angry for like a week or two. So not all monks and nuns are like that, actually. They're much more compassionate. But so when we practice in the community, we get an opportunity to be kind for kindness' sake. And people share this all the time when they come here. They do little things, like somewhere someone went and collected all the cups and, put it back, and he shared like our end of our gathering here. And how much happiness that was for him to just do that. So in the community, we learn again our habits. We learn to train new ways of looking. But it is not all, success, and there's also challenges. And this is where transformation and further healing is possible. So in the community, we learn to also exchange and harmonize ideas and views. So we learn to live in harmony, even with different viewpoints. And this is what is wonderful about Sangha. Because the spiritual practice, it helps us to let go. Because we see those who don't let go, and we see ourselves when we don't let go of our viewpoints, suffering we cause to other people, and the suffering we cause to ourselves. So taking refuge in the community, we need to renew it over and over again. Not just every new year, but every day, every week, every moment. is an opportunity for us. So making the practice of, when we first came here, wow, some of us who stay here long, yeah, it can deteriorate. And I speak this for those of us who stay here long. Please find ways to renew your practice, to renew your refuge in the community. And the renewal and what is an obstacle, I recognize, is because we hold on to something. It's permanent, but we don't let it flow. Our mind is composed of our feelings, our perception, our thoughts, our ideas. And many times that we don't let it flow, we cannot renew, is because we hold on to it. Again, that internal knot. This is very important in our practice. In Plum Village here, we have many opportunities for you to come and take refuge for a week. We're also making opportunities for young people to stay here long term. It's so that they can touch something deeper and deeper beyond just the 1 week honeymoon mindfulness. Right? There's also a mature mindfulness. And those of you in relationship, you know what I mean, After the honeymoon, there's the maturity, the ripening, right? The challenges, the suffering, and overcoming it. The same with the community. So we have to find ways to refresh our way of looking at each other, refresh our practice. So I'll end here with just encouraging us all to go home and build community. Communities that has a spiritual practice as the base. So there's a lot of intentional communities and good causes. They come together for good causes. But without a spiritual practice as a foundation, very difficult. And when I say spiritual foundation, it's not religious. Spirituality here is the mindfulness practice of coming back to oneself and touching our suffering, recognizing the suffering in others, practice of letting go of our ideas, letting go of our ego, ourself. So spirituality is not like, Buddha or God, but spirituality here is the virtuous practice. Patience, kindness, especially letting go. This is one of the precious stages of the practice, of the letting go. Even of the most important, and it frees you. So I know the many sanghas around the world, and there's also wake-up communities for young people to take refuge in. And we encourage the teachers to find ways to build community in your own school. And you don't have to call it by any name. If you come more and more often to our center, you begin to see what is the essence. What are they doing here? Mindfulness practice, stopping, coming back to oneself, brotherhood and sisterhood. See, you recognize schedules. And also very important is the mindfulness training. The 5 mindfulness training, a kind of a guideline to guide the community. these ethical guidelines to keep us balanced with the society, the way the society encourages us. It's a kind of balance to protect life, to help us touch true happiness, true love. So these are, I just want to plug in there for us to those of you out there can help us. I think for the next level of Sangha building, how many of you belong to a Sangha? Yeah? Wonderful. Beautiful. I think I just want to encourage you to continue that. And Thay envision a Sangha as a mindfulness practice center that is not Buddhist framed, more universal, and to create that place in the urban environment. And this is something I just want to share out and to share my kind of wish, a little bit desire to have in every city an urban practice center, so young people can take refuge. Because not everyone can afford to go out but having a place that's for regular meetings, regular gatherings, right in the city, accessible for the young people and for everyone. So you, and how to make it so Sangha becomes your right livelihood. How do you say, make it so you don't have to hold another job? What if Sangha and running the Sangha and organizing the Sangha is your life? You don't have to work a job that you don't like. So if you're a yoga instructor, a health therapist, get together and make it become a center. And then financially sustainable as well. With simple living, of course. You don't want to be driving Lexus and having, just living a simple life. And if you like to live in the urban city, great. So the vision is having a center there, and it's a full-time Sangha community living there. Like 10 people running the place, having places for the young people to take refuge in. Every weekend, free. Anyone can come, offering workshop, meditation. So we're going to put out of business all the therapists. Yeah? Community-based therapists. Yeah? In fact, all the therapists should do this. Because, people are wasting too much. It costs a lot, right, to get therapy. I hear people pay lots of money to go to therapy. So we have a Sangha, and you have workshop. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's Thay's vision for the MPC, the Mindfulness Practice Center. Because some of us, I might go to temples now, but I wouldn't have gone to a temple as a young person. And maybe some of us might not go to churches. So I encourage for us to find this, because this is what will bring balance back. To have a spiritual dimension, to have a way to keep us reminded of what life, what our heart is about. So those of you who are efficient, intelligent, skillful, please, I send that out there, and hopefully some of you can have the condition and the fortune to help build a mindfulness practice center and make it viable for people who to do it full time, so they don't have to waste their life working for something. And that could be very community service. They can help support the community, go to youth, troubled youth centers, and can become a community service. So as teachers as well, you can do that in the school. After school activities, create a place for the children, the students, for their parents, after school activities. So please continue Thay's volition, his deep desire to find ways to balance some of the difficulties, the social ills that we're seeing. Many young people now are depressed, have mental disorder. A lot of suicide rates you hear keep increasing. So we don't need a big bank account, just use that to help change our world. You cannot take it with you. So please help the young people, the wake up group, who they want to find a different way. We have the Happy Farm initiative here, and many young people are coming and working with their hands and finding healing. They stay for 1 year, and we'd like to make this available in the city. Have a lot become a garden. So these and I'm sure you have many other visions. But please go back to your sangha and and discuss with your sangha how to open up so that more young people, more people suffering can take refuge. This is everyone knows is Thay's deepest wish. So thank you for coming and for listening.